Hello, everybody. I'm Anthony along with Leon and Marco, and this is episode 48 of Hard Knock Hawks. This is a podcast where we talk about our favorite team, the Atlanta Hawks, and sometimes other stuff in the NBA too. Before we start, we would like to remind you, as usual, to like, share, subscribe to the podcast to help the podcast grow. As of this recording, tomorrow starts the first actual basketball action for the Hawks with their first regular preseason game, excuse me. And we only have 17 days left until the Atlanta Hawks' first regular season game. So on today's episode, we have a special guest to do a regular season preview of what we think the Hawks could do during the season. We have brought today Hawks Twitter legend Zeb. You can follow him on Twitter at Zebster114. How are you doing today, Zeb?
I'm doing pretty good. I feel good. Had me some breakfast and yeah, I just feel great.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! All right, so I just want to ask you first, generally speaking. So, what are your thoughts on like all the moves basically that the Hawks made throughout the offseason? Since that was a big topic, like throughout media day. You know, Porzingis is here, Nickeil Alexander-Walker's here, Luke Kennard's here. They seem like they really enjoy their new environment so far and enjoying their teammates.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I know it kind of feels like um it kind of does feel like we're like the media darling right now. It feels like I see every single like media person, even outside of the Hawks, just saying like, "Oh my God, they had like A+ offies," and it's like it feels good, but it's also kind of like, all right, like chill, I am excited just because not just of who the players we got, but like the way we handled the assets. Like we did not overpay or overextend anyone. I think the probably the steepest thing we did was Luke Kennard for 11 million, but it's only on a 1 year deal, so it's like it's not really that detrimental. It's not like we have anyone on the team where it's like, okay, like we need like some extra money or we need to do this or we're going to actively trade someone. I feel like we don't really have anyone that's really on a trade bubble right now unless we just wanted to like really compete. So I feel like in terms of assets, like we didn't really give up anything detrimental to the team, and it kind of just feels like okay, we can have this year without having to ruin our future. It's like we can go all in this year, and if it messes up, it's like we can kind of reset and go with the core that we already had. So like I like it in that sense where it's like we handled our assets very well.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I think everyone has said here before basically about the offseason. This is a really big changing offseason for Atlanta. And like this is gonna be obviously, I think, the most competitive team that we've had for like a long, long time. And hopefully like they can prove that they're everyone's expectations for them as we go through the offseason. Now, I do want to go on and talk about a bit about some rotation questions for you. Um, Quinn Snyder mentioned some potential lineups that um he had that may be played like during the regular season, something like Onyeka Okongwu, Kristaps Porzingis. So, what do you think potentially of some of these questions? Because Nickeil Alexander Walker, he's a very versatile player. He can play the three, he can play the two. I don't know if he could potentially play the one maybe, but maybe we could see that in action. But and also Luke Kennard, he can also handle the ball. We may see that as potentially as the backup point guard in the second unit. What do you potentially think of that as we gathered more depth in the off season?
Yeah, I think it's really good that we have a lot more versatile and a lot more versatile players in terms of positions. Because I think our front court can basically play with each other at all times, like at least power forward, center front court, not necessarily small forward. I think you can play Gay with anyone, Onyeka, Chris Apps. I think they can all play together, and Jalen obviously. But I do have questions where it's like the wing depth. It's kind of weird because it feels like there's a lot of players that have the height of a wing, but they don't have the play style of a wing. Like V. Krejci, Caleb Houston. It's like they have the height of wings, but they're not like necessarily they don't play like wings. They play like a shooting guard and they play like a point guard. So it's kind of like we're not overextending minutes where it's like, okay, we need you to play this role because we don't have anyone like that really fits perfectly in that role. It's like you can stretch Nikhil, maybe Dyson too. If you really want to get crazy, jumbo with Jalen, but I don't think you're going to do that for any substantial amount of time. That's going to be beneficial to the team. In my opinion, I don't think you should really do that. And so I think that is like one thing where it's like, okay, I question that a lot, where it's like the wing depth is very shaky because it feels like we're kind of forcing a lot of guys to play out of position. But I do think overall, like the backcourt, I really love the backcourt depth. I know a lot of people talk about backup point guard or whatever. I think that's just like people talk about that all the time in the Trey era. And I just feel like that's one of the most overrated, like, things in a Trey Young talk. It's like, why are we talking about backup point? Like, it's, come on, let's be serious, bro. Like, we don't need a traditional backup point guard when we have Trey Young. And then you have guys like Nikhil, Kennard, and then you have Jalen that can run some stuff. And most likely in like the non-Trey minutes, we're probably going to run the offense through Kristaps anyway. In my opinion, I feel like that's what should happen. Or even Onyeka, if you want to run him as a hub, like in the short roll, stuff like that. It's like we don't need a backup point guard to run the offense. It's not like Trey is going to be off the floor forever. But I do understand it is a worry for the non-Trey minutes. Like, you want to neutralize that. But I don't think we need anyone to table set the offense to where, like in a playoff setting, that backup point guard is not going to play. They're barely going to play. So it's like it would just be a waste, in my opinion. But I think overall, I like how, in our front court at least, that we can play virtually anybody with anybody, offense and defense wise.
Marco, what you generally think of all this improved depth that we have, and then I'm gonna go to Leon.
It's pretty nice. If you remember last year around the same time, I was literally one of my concerns that the Hawks don't have real depth. They have like you come in for 2 minutes, then Trey's right back out, Jalen's right back out depth. So it's good that we, reworked the bench and we've actually worked up some players to where they could actually play minimal roles. Because when we first got Veet wasn't like a real NBA player, but now that we've worked him up, we have a better development system. Veet is actually a guy that can come in and play, 8 minutes. Isn't a ball stopper. He's a very connective guy. Then you upgrade the bench with Luke Kennard and Nikhil. And Nikhil will most likely be backup small forward. Just because of how roster construction is, I do agree with the wing depth being a thing. They're relying on Zach a lot to be that wing guy. So Nikhil most likely will come in, but that's still a proven NBA guy that's coming off the bench. Kennard is another shooter. He most likely will be that quote-unquote backup point guard, even though the backup point guard would be a connective thing as a whole, in my opinion. So I think the depth is fine. We got some nice third big options that could fight it out. We have also 2 open roster spots, and really you can create another one because one guy is on a non-guaranteed. So if you really just don't see him as a piece moving forward, you go get another guy. You'll probably leave those roster spots open closer to deadline, just because it's just having that flexibility, that optionality moving forward, So I'm happy with how the thing's been. I expect us to be a fun team. Excited to see what we somewhat look like tomorrow as we're recording this. So I'm very excited. What about you, Leon?
It's a good time to be a Hawks fan, in my opinion. The Hawks have really went out and got everything, in my opinion, that they needed. Obviously, you need another shot creator. That's what everybody says. You need another shot creator. But I believe in the volume playmaking aspect of this team. I think that's what they've been trending towards in the last few years. Like, if you just look at the number of front court assists from the starters in, say, 2021, the DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Capella years, like, basically, I mean, Kristaps and Jalen could average the total of what those guys were averaging. Like, they could average 5, 6 assists, and Yucca could average. I mean, with the minutes he's getting, he could average 4 or 5 assists. It wouldn't surprise me. The only truly, I don't think Zachary Richey is a negative passer. I think that he is just not high volume because he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. So at the end, like for me, if you're not getting a lot of assists like that as any basketball player, as long as you're not, giving it away, I can kind of live with it. But he obviously has a little bit in his bag. As far as the 3 minutes, which do look a little worrisome if Zachary Richey doesn't take a jump, I think Dyson is wing sized. Especially in his style of play, he can play some three for sure. And I think a lot of people are against that because they believe that he should be getting the backup point guard minutes, and there should be a stagger. It's funny. We all hated the stagger the last time we had to see it, but now
everyone wants to stagger.
We want to stagger.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think also because you're going to be playing in these big games, Jalen, Kristaps, and Onyeka the majority of minutes of the four. And if you're fully healthy, what's coming on, if one of those guys isn't available, is Mo G, who has developed pretty well over the last couple of years. I think it's very important. They want to teach guys how to defend early so that they can take that throughout the rest of their career, and then they, build the offense up. Obviously, if you saw Mo G at Wazoo, like just the highlights, you saw the touch. Like we're talking about turnaround Jays 15. They don't want him doing a lot of that, but that showed the touch. And hopefully this year he can figure out how to shoot it at the NBA level. So because of all of that size, I think you can be a touch smaller at times at the three. I do think Luke is going to be the guy who gets us into our offense a lot when Trey's off. I don't think that it's not going to be a volume playmaking thing. It's just, sure ball handler, just knows how to get the play started. And sometimes that's all you need, especially with the talent that's on this team. Ant, what about you, buddy?
Like you said, I'm just really, really excited for this team. I'm interested to see what roles, like you mentioned, what Luke Kennard is gonna have. Because during, like, as we're recording this right now, we got like clips and stuff of training camp. He's like practicing on the court on the hoop that all the point guards generally practice at. So obviously that means, I'm assuming that he's probably gonna get like a lot of the reps. I'm not the reps, but I assume that means he's probably gonna, just like you mentioned, he handle the ball a lot in the second unit. And considering that I think he's like an underrated passer for like most of his career, basically. I think if you look at his per 36, he averaged like 4.6 assists. So I think he'll be fine. And despite like what I said before, I think generally, I think it's going to be pretty good for him. I think it will be pretty good for the most part if we had him as basically as that backup point guard. And plus, if Dyson's there and Nickeil Alexander, like, I think we're going to have like really good passing and stuff at the second unit, along with like if Porzingis is out there as well. So I'm not like super worried about the offense there at all. With Porzingis, I think my question is for everyone here is considering the injury history of him throughout the years, do you guys think he'll be able to potentially handle like the pace of this team, considering that during the past 3 years, this has been a very high-paced team for the most part, like top 10 in pace. And Porzingis has never really played in a team that has been above average in pace. I looked it up, and Zeb actually made a document where he even mentioned this as well. He's never been in a team that's been like even average in pace. So I'll ask you, Zeb, what do you think in a team that like plays really fast? What do you think Porzingis' role could possibly be? Maybe.
Yeah. So I do think it's very interesting, just because like he's been in slower environments, and they can make up for a lot of slower environments, because like when he played with Boston, they had two ball handlers that can operate in the half court, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday can have some on ball reps. So it's like they kind of made up for it where they didn't have to overly rely on transition. But Kristaps, he's never really played in a fast environment. You kind of saw during Eurobasket, he played in a lot faster environments. And so you would see him kind of get these early seals, or I'm kind of imagine him, like people say, the trail threes. So I do think it will kind of just be a thing. It just kind of depends on the possession by possession basis. I feel like we're not going to lean one way versus the other. I don't think we're going to completely take out like pace, just because like I think that would be a detriment to people like Jalen Johnson, Regis J. Dyson. Like I think that would be horrible for them if we kind of played to like a slow, like
a
much slower pace. Yeah,
a lot of them are just like really reliant on transition for their scoring, so you can't just like completely slow it down just for like one guy.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like it'll kind of be a hybrid where sometimes Kristaps will get out for early seals or trail threes, but also he'll probably have possessions where it's like he kind of just lets them go operate, and he'll be back on defense just in case they mess up. Hopefully they're just better at converting transition possessions, because they had a high frequency in them, but they did not convert them very well. But hopefully they're much better this year. I think it'll be a much more hybrid thing. I don't think it'll completely change the pace, but we will probably play in much more slower half court sets, just because Kristaps kind of needs that, for his post game and stuff like that. But, we kind of can't help it because we have like an opportunistic defense. Like we have a lot of people that are opportunistic. So it's like, it's just going to create transition opportunities, like no matter what. So, yeah.
What do you say, Leon?
I think that pace is a slightly flawed stat in the way that people consume it, because if you really think about it, your pace is also affected by your defense. So
that's fair. Yeah.
When Kristaps is on the court, a lot of the time, teams tend to have to go through their offense a little bit to get a good shot because they're cut off pretty well at the rim most of the time. And like I'm saying, like this team, what's going to be weak side most of the time when you're mostly healthy is going to be something that's tough for most ball handlers or drivers to deal with. Whatever's coming weak side, whether that be Jalen Johnson, Kristaps Porzingis, and Onyeka Okongwu, even Zachary Richardson with his added strength, we know he gets there on time. So, I mean, that'll be interesting. I think that'll be very interesting to see how, teams respond to that. And obviously, it's your turnovers and the turnovers you create obviously create transition opportunities, which are much shorter possessions. But I think, like Zeb said, the trail threes is going to be the killer. I think Kristaps will be able to handle it because, they have the horses to really get back and cut stuff off in those guys I named. Obviously, Moji as well. Really good transition defender, great defender overall in his limited minutes so far. So I think that one of the reasons we were so high in pace last year is because Dyson's taken the ball 3 times a game. And I think that might go up. So it'll be interesting to see, how that translates on both sides of the ball. I think we'll have an opportunity to play a little bit slower, as in longer possessions on offense, but I think we'll be able to really get the defense moving with all the spacing and with all the floor spacing. And I think you kind of look at Luke Kennard versus Dyson. He's kind of like the anti-Dyson in a way, because he can really shoot the heck out of the ball, especially at the one. I think one of the funny things is with guys like non-Dyson, their offensive value almost rises as they fall down they go like 1, 2, 3. Their offensive value almost gets better. And if you look at it, if you really want to juxtapose it a certain way, you could say Dyson is your shot creating wing at 6'8". If he can figure out how to do a little something with an in-between game and hit some more threes, that might be your guy. So I think they've positioned the roster in a way to give him those opportunities. And, it'll be a good little good little wrinkle for teams. It's a lot of ball handling on this roster. Who's next, Marco?
Yeah. What do you think, Marco?
Y'all took most of the things I was going to say, so I'll just get. I didn't expect Leon to just read my whole mind on some of those things, but the trailing threes are probably for the better in some situations. I know we're a fast-paced team. We like to get out and run. So it's like a lot of the times on those fast breaks, we're taking it straight to the rack. So 9 times out of 10, with KP trailing, it leaves that the fifth man on defense, you have to pick something to help on until KP can get back. You can't stay back too far because you let Dyson or Jalen get to the rim, that's an easy 2 in transition. So teams are getting back in transition. That center's trying to help over. You have 3 people in that starting lineup that can easily pass out of that. It's Trey, Dyson, Jalen. Kick it back to KP. That's an easy 3. If a defense decides they can somewhat bite it and cheat KP, delaying back a little bit, KP is also a decent passer. Just kicks it back to a corner. It's like you're leaving the defense to rotate. Somebody's going to be open. We move too fast for most defenses to really lock in. The only people that really stop us in transition is ourselves because of just some minor mistake or anything like that. So I think KP will just adjust over time. That's just something he had to get used to. I'm not asking him to play at the pace that Jalen is playing or play at the pace Jalen is playing, but he'll find that median to where he can get it to work for both of them or just work as a team as a whole, and that's how we'll most likely excel with them.
Yeah, I agree. I think this combination of players we have is just going to be really interesting to see. And I think the main thing, hopefully, that is going to improve is that we had some of the highest quality of shots in the league, but it's just we weren't able to actually just finish it, right? We weren't able to just make any of them. And with Porzingis especially now, and with Kennard with how good of a shooter he was, or he is, excuse me, we're actually going to be able to actually make a bunch of these shots now. And it's just going to bring this offense to a whole nother level because of that. So even with all these pace questions I may have potentially, at the end of the day, I think they're going to be able to their play finishing of this team is just going to improve tremendously in transition and in the half court offense, which is probably, I think, the main thing they were just focusing on for all these additions. But I do want to focus on another player now. It's gonna be the longest tenured player on the Hawks roster, Trae Young, and this is also a bit about play finishing. Technically, it's about Trae Young and his efficiency. And so Quinn Snyder actually mentioned that about his efficiency, and I know this is something that can be very controversial to some Hawks fans sometimes when we talk about this, but he was actually quoted saying is he wants to get better every year. The word that I like to use with Trae all the time is evolution. To me, his leadership about him being efficient and doing things on the court that help our team win. Trae Young did not have a very efficient year this year. It was his worst year since his rookie year. I'm going to start with you, Leon. What did you generally think about that quote, and potentially what do you think about the new additions to the roster, sir, and how do you think it's going to help with the potentially his efficiency this year?
I think Trey's efficiency should go up, but it's really all up to, the coaching staff to not put all the onus of the offense on him. And if they do that, I think his efficiency will go up. I think when Quinn Snyder talked about efficiency, he wasn't just talking about shooting better from the field. I think he was talking about just being more efficient passing the basketball and not having to make the spectacular play every time. Trusting his teammates so that we can really diversify our offense. And I think what's important for him is all this floor spacing, especially early in the game, might be an issue for other teams because that might just get him going. And if he's able to get going early in games, he may start to have some of these explosions that we have not seen in a little bit. Obviously, that's not the way we want to play right now because there is so much other talent on the team.
Mhm.
But I think there still will be games where Trae Young has to, hit 10 floaters, like hit 10 floaters and like
He has to be
7
that
threes,
guy.
to win the game.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that happens that way. But he should have an easier time getting to the rim. And he in truth, he was always a pretty good cutter for a guard, his size. It just wasn't a lot to cut into earlier in his career, and the guys also just weren't making those passes. And I think that's really the big thing with Trae Young's development. And I don't think people don't like to talk about this. He's such a good passer that his ability as a play finisher, especially as a result of what was available on the roster to him early in his career, just stunted that part of his growth. But that is why he's one of the best passers in the world. So, dang, now I forgot the question. What was the question?
It was basically, what did you think about that? The quote I just said, and yeah,
efficiency,
and it's Trae Young's efficiency.
Yeah, I think the last thing about what Quinn's saying is he has to be the leader. He has to be the leader and the controller of the team's efficiency as the point guard. So whatever that means, and that's just being a smart basketball player on both sides of the ball and being opportunistic on both sides of the ball, which he has to be at his size. So he has an opportunity to do it. As far as building around Trae is concerned, I think they've built around a lot of guys well. I think this is a good team for Jalen. I think this is a really good team for Onyeka and his weaknesses. I think this is a really good team for Zach and his weaknesses. Dyson and Luke, like there's these trade-offs that you can make to really build some interesting lineups, especially when now in that main rotation, the only guys who are really, really ones to me are Trae and Luke. And then everybody else can kind of play the three. Kind of. Dyson plays three. No, I play the three. Or, 3 or higher anyways. So, interesting roster. Super young, of course, but the depth is there.
Let's go to you, Marco. What do you think about that quote?
Yeah, Trae hasn't had his most efficient years lately. You can say it was to a multitude of things like Capella regressing and just kind of sitting in the paint, so it was always an extra man helping. Or it's just like every time he's tried to drive, you have somebody else trying to also come in with him. Just miscommunications, not really giving him the spacing. Lack of proper spacing we've had in some of these lineups to where he tries to drive, and we clearly have a guy that can't shoot in the corner, so they would just kind of help off. So it's just a lot. Also Trae's decision making at times probably it's not probably sometimes it just isn't the best on the shot decision making. Like some shots will need a quick 2 and he just goes for the long 3. That's his game. I'm not mad at times. That's his game. He makes them more times than not. But sometimes, there's like you just got to process it better as the point guard. It's like, do I take this shot or do I know that the attention is on me? Do I just dump it off to somebody else because I know they're going to try to send help on me? I don't know how much this really plays into Trae's efficiency. I'm just talking about play wise now. A lot of teams like to put the bigger guard on him, like the bigger defender on him. So
yeah, Quinn actually mentioned that like during one of the interviews, like during training camp, that they're putting bigger guys on him now and they're picking him up further,
I'm like,
further
because when we played OKC, literally soon after they scored, they checked him full court. And that was like, so teams are clearly trying to put the bigger guy on Trae, and that does slow him down to some because it's like that is a good defender. As guys bigger than me, he's a little bit stronger than me, so it's times that he has to rework that or get around or just get around the hump. So now that we have the team also getting bigger plays into that because outside of Trae, everybody is like 6'7", 6'8" plus. So you have to kind of put the bigger guy, and our guys can score. The bigger guys can score. So you're going to have to get the bigger guys back on are said bigger guys, because you expect
Yeah.
Risa to take a leap, you expect Dyson to take some type of a scoring leap, Jalen you expect to take some type of leap in some regard. So it's like you need those bigger defenders for those guys, because it's not just Trey anymore. It's Trey and the crew. It's Trey and Jalen. It's Trey and Dyson. It's Trey and KP. So you're going to need those guys off of him. So now you're putting the smaller players back onto Trey. Easier time to get him. Trey is very good at blowing by people. One quick two move, he's most likely at the rack with the improved spacing, even if a team tries to drop a big, because Jalen can shoot, KP can shoot at a very high clip. Even if a team tries to drop a big, that's an easy kick and drive, a drive and kick. It's just as simple as that. So I think Trey really just needs to work on shot decision making, because at times he will force it. It's clear when he gets frustrated. You can tell when Trey gets frustrated too.
Yeah.
He'll just keep forcing it back. Dumb floaters, that's something he really needs to get back into as well. Like just a floater that was like bread and butter, because teams didn't really know how to play it, because you always had a lob threat just sitting under the rim, just like with JC and Capella. They didn't know if it was a lob, they didn't know it was a floater. So it just like that trickery on that was fine. But I think this would be Trey's best efficient year just with spacing alone. I think Trey even brought it up himself. He's like, it's easier for me to score when the paint is open. So stuff like that. So I think he'll be fine this year. I'm not asking for KD efficiency numbers, just want something that's better than what we're usually seeing.
Look, that's funny because I remember the first time KD came on somebody's spaces, and he was telling them that why his efficiency went down in Brooklyn because there's somebody in the paint. Like started playing with Nick Claxton as opposed to playing for the Warriors. So that's how that works. It's just funny how like players have been saying that, but when we try to say it, a lot of people don't really resonate with it. What do you think, Ant?
Well, let me go to Zeb first, and then we'll go to back to me. Oh, and I know you have like a lot of thoughts on this, because I know you've been on this for a good minute, haven't you, Zeb?
Yeah. So with Trey's efficiency, I think it's a lot of misrepresentations of his efficiency, because I think people look like a lot of like I would say I think it's more non-Hawks fans, because I think Hawks fans have more context, but a lot of non-Hawks fans kind of look at his raw numbers and think, oh, inefficient. But if you kind of compare like his efficiencies to someone like Donovan Mitchell, they have very similar efficiency career-wise. If true shooting percentage, they have very clear similarities. But I think there's a winning bias where people will more hyperfixate on efficiency woes if you're not winning as much. And that's not to say that Trey hasn't dropped in efficiency. The floor has shrunk. Like our 3-point percentage has gone down heavily, and the paints have been clogged. And I also think, last year in 2024, not 2024-25, but 23-24, like Trey was actually very efficient in that season. Like he shot 37% from three. He was actually getting to the rim at a good rate. And it's like he was actually doing really good before the hand injury. So I think a lot of people kind of forget that like he literally just was like shooting the lights out the ball, but it's like he gets his hand injury, he gets his Achilles injury. So then he's coming into the season where we kind of with losing DeJounte and going to Dyson, like the spacing gets worse as a result, but we're trying to build a defense. So it's like we're kind of getting rid of the spacing to build the defense back up, getting rid of Sadiq Bey, who kind of fell off of shooting, like John Collins. We got rid of all these people to build up the defense. So now it's like, oh, now he has to struggle in an offense environment so we can get the defense back up. And now finally we're like, okay, now we're going to bring our offense environment back up. And the thing about Trey, that I think his rim finishing has never been quite good, but I think with cleaner lanes, and also I think the thing that's great is, he was second in the NBA in drives after SGA. And so it's like when you have someone putting that much pressure on the rim in terms of volume, he draws a lot of free throws from that. He generates a lot of assists. And since, he still has that floater, he kind of makes up for the lack of efficiency with having volume and, with his playmaking. And so I feel like people don't really look at that when they talk in terms of Trey scoring. They don't contextualize like the volume and the type of shots he's taken. I think considering the volume averages he's facing, it's fairly well. In terms of playmaking, I think his turnovers also need to be contextualized well, because I think it would be more fair to say that, like, oh, I hate how he commits live ball turnovers rather than just pure turnovers, because like I think his volume in assists and playmaking itself is just gonna call for turnovers, especially at his size. I love how we have people like Jalen who has the ability to draw doubles. Like, even though Jalen's not a great driver, you can see him a lot of times when he gets downhill, he will kind of collapse the defense and he'll open up spots for Trey to either move off. I've seen some clips of that, or if he can kick it out back out to Trey and Trey can find someone just off the collapse. And then there's stuff like KP, his added post game and a half court helped Trey a lot, because you saw in like the Celtics series and the Heat series, when Trey is not in a pick and roll setting, when they switch heavy, they force him to play ISO. He kind of struggles a lot just because that's not really his style of game. He is a good ISO scorer. He's pretty solid. But it's not something where it's like, oh, this is the only thing we're going to force you to do. He can't really operate in that. He kind of needs a balance of both. And I'm kind of glad we have scorers now that can finally take that pressure off Trey, where it won't feel like, oh, I have to do this or I have to be this. So that's my thoughts on Trey's efficiency overall in terms of playmaking and just scoring in general. Yeah, I think it's a good environment for him right now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Zev. It's weird when we talk about like Trey Young's efficiency, because like throughout his career, he's just had very weird like in environments. Like first few seasons, like you had Clint Capella, but he can't really do anything offensively. And then he had to adjust like shooting with another point guard, and that probably messed with him. And then all of a sudden, like last season, he had the injury. And not only that, he basically had to carry the offensive load for like a good majority of the season. So it's like, I get the concerns, but now I think with all how much talent there is on this roster now, I don't think I assume he's going to be more efficient with how the lane is going to be more clear with Porzingis and Onyeka, if he actually, develops that three ball more. And potentially with like all these, with how like varied the scoring is going to be now. So I think his efficiency is going to improve, especially at the rim. And like I said, I agree with you basically. Like you basically said everything I was going to say. So especially on the eve on potentially him getting an extension soon, maybe. We don't know what if that extension may be happening or not. And we have another player that may or may not be getting an extension soon that we're going to be talking about in a few minutes. But potentially, like, this could be a big year for like a bunch of Hawks players offensively. And actually, I'll just talk about it right now. We're Dyson, Jalen, and Zach. So out of all the three, which generally of you guys think are going to make like any of like any offensive jumps potentially? And I'll just start with you, Marco.
The common answer everybody will hope for would be Jalen, because that is our second option as of right now.
Yeah.
Until we see what KP is on the offense and how he plays in. But realistically,
actually, I want to disagree on something. I would say Porzingis is second option, but
I was about to say, it just depends on how the offense is set right now. What we know, it's a thing. But realistically, I think Dyson takes that offensive leap. I think Dyson is a slept-on one to projections of taking the offensive leap. I've seen some of Dyson's workout videos, the one he's allowed to share or wants to share. I actually spoke with him at Best Buy a couple days ago. Just out of some stuff, he has a decent handle. He gets to the hole pretty fast. He wants to get to the hole. That's his whole thing. I think him working on a mid-range and a three-point shot really like opens up his game some. I don't know how much he shot off three, how big he shot off three off the top of my head. I think it was like 33.
You
can look that up while I'm talking.
I think it was 34 exactly.
So 34 isn't bad. He gets to that at least 36 jump. I think that that opens up his game a lot. But Dyson loves going downhill, and having a threat at the rim always is a positive for the team, especially with a team full of decent shooters, or in our case, we have some pretty good shooters.
It was 34 exactly.
No, good call, Leon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a team full of decent shooters. So I think the spacing also will help him a lot as well. Dyson also has like a very nice floater. That floater is very efficient. That's clearly his favorite go-to shot when he gets there. So I think with the improved spacing we have, and we project that Risa takes a big shooting leap he continues that shooting leap that he did at second half of the season last season. And with KP again, being able to shoot the ball as well, I think a lot of Dyson's game will start to open up, and we find out who he really is. And bearing that he is in a contract year, I think he's in a contract year. Contract year magic is a real thing. We've seen it multiple times. Think he kind of just opens up for that. But realistically, if you can get Jalen and Dyson to take some kind of leap, you have a nice three. Yeah, it's a good team to work with. I think I'm gonna go to you, Zeb.
I would say, yeah, I agree with Marco, where it's like the reason why I don't think Jalen is going to necessarily jump, it has nothing to do with his skill. I think it's more so, coming off that shoulder injury. I think a leap for Jalen would look more like him getting more contact at the rim. And I don't think he's going to necessarily do that, at least initially. He probably will in the back half of the season, but initially, I don't think he's really going to absorb a ton of contact, just because it's okay. You kind of want to be a little bit careful. Like, you don't want to just treat him like Kawhi Leonard and be like, oh, Jalen, you can't play. It's like we need Jalen Johnson. But I think out of those three, I also think I would agree with the Dyson Daniels thing. He has shown an ability to kind of get downhill at will. I think his 3-point percentage, because I like to filter out his heaves, because he had a lot of heaves. He had 6 heaves. It kind of is closer to 35% when you filter out the heaves. And then off the catch, he shot 37% from 3. And I don't think Dyson's really going to self-create threes necessarily. He's still probably going to be mainly off the catch. He might attack closeouts every now and then, on drives. And I do think he has the best ability out of those three to kind of get his own shot, in my opinion. Reza Shea, he has shown some flashes, but I do think a lot of his projections are a little bit more unrealistic from some of the fan base. I've kind of seen some very interesting projections.
Hater.
Yeah. No, I don't think I'm a hater. They'll sit there and they'll be like,
hater.
All right, so next year he's averaging 15. Then he's going to average 21.
Listen, I understand. Yeah, I understand that. I don't think that's going to happen. But
the only realistic thing I've seen on Zach, I didn't mean to cut y'all off. The only realistic thing I've seen on Zach is he might get 15 purely off catch and shoots and cuts, and that's not bad.
That could happen. I think he's gonna be really good in transition.
I think that's realistic. Yeah, I've seen I've seen some they'll throw a clip doing behind the back or one step back, and it's like, oh yeah, next year he's gonna be self-creating. But I'm like, yo, this is just not happening.
I think that's literally just one person on Hawks Twitter.
There's 10 of them. Bro, I'm telling you, there's 10 of them. I swear. Every day I'll sit here just they think I'm hating. I'm not hating on Zach. I think Zach is a great player. But I'm like, bro, y'all are setting yourselves up if y'all think we're gonna be like, all right, Zach, go get you one. We're just not doing that. That's just not.
What are you smiling for, Leon? Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Listen. Right. Go ahead, Leon. Go ahead.
It's fun. Were you done though? Is that? Were you done?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Zach, let's just start with Zach.
Yeah.
When it comes to Zach, I just didn't see enough on the ball to think that that's going to be a dynamic part of our offense this year. However, with the added space and my knowledge that Zach will bail and get the ball to somebody quickly, regardless of the situation, if he does ever improve the handle to an average, with the ball control, keeping the ball lower. He doesn't have the longest arms despite being very tall. That'll help him as a shooter, but make it more difficult as a ball handler. So he's going to make his money on threes and cuts and straight line drives. But he has some craft at the rim. So being a second side creator could be interesting, but I don't think he's ever going to be like primary, go get you a bucket stuff. Jalen, of course, has to shoot better from three, and he's got to be more aggressive. This goes into having all this floor spacing that we have. It's going to be better for all of these guys as far as driving to the rim. If it's not Trey on the floor, it's Luke. If it's not Luke on the floor, it's Na. And Kristaps or Onyeka, obviously, are the big. So they just added the spacing around those guys as well. That's what we're talking about, these relations. Like, everybody kind of helps each other out on this team. I think it's a well-built unit despite the perceived weaknesses of it. I think when Anstey said on his own little media day, if you will, that he's comfortable with the level of ball handling on this roster, if you think about it as, well, as I said earlier, you know, Trey, Luke, Dyson, I mean, that's 4 good ball handlers. And then collectively, obviously, as far as ball handlers go for their position, KP and OO are pretty good. And Jalen's, it's probably average to slightly below average as a ball handler. So that's a lot better than it has been. But of course, the guy who really has a chance to do something interesting is Dyson Daniels. I pulled a stat while we were talking earlier. And among guards in the NBA last year who qualified, he was 12th in 2-point attempts per game, 9.1, and 13th in 2-point percentage per game in the league. 23 years old. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that'll get you paid. Obviously, he's got to figure out the 3-ball. We all agree with that. But, being a good cutter with the added passing, we added passing. And we saw some good stuff last year, and we added to that. So, him as a cutter, Jalen as a cutter, Zach as a cutter, all these guys are liable to make offensive jumps because when we were talking about with Trey and the offensive environment that they've created, really just the 3 big guys they added can all shoot the ball, especially relative to their position. One of the best guard shooters ever, top 3 best big shooter ever. Top 3. Oh, that's bad. It's going to be some lanes for him. It's going to be driving lanes for him. It's going to be cutting lanes for him. And both of those guys pass the ball. So if I had to pick one, it's tough. See, when we're talking about offensive jump, I wonder if we're talking about points or like how well they're actually playing offense. Because some of these guys might have different opportunities than they had last year. All right.
It could be either one.
I mean, yeah. It could be either one, and it could be Zach. Off the strength of but he's long and he's really crafty at the rim. Crazy enough, I think he might end up being the best out of the 3 at the rim. As crazy as that might sound, because it's kind of in a way he's the anti-Jalen. Like Jalen, I mean, they both try to do finesse, but Jalen shouldn't be trying to do finesse. But Zach has tried to yam it a couple times, and obviously you had the dunk on Cat. When those start getting flushed, like that's big momentum. Like you got these guys, all 3 of these guys will dunk on you. So they just have to do it. Hopefully they get that full head of steam. Don't get hesitant because weak side defender got to travel. Weak side defender got to travel. All right, I'm very excited for this season. I'll choose Dyson. It's not Dyson. It needs to be Jalen, so I'm gonna choose Jalen. Jalen's gonna shoot 38% from three this year. Yeah. Who's next, man? Marco?
I think. Oh, did you
No.
go, Marco? Or
I already went. It's easy.
oh yeah, okay,
So
it's
sorry.
me. Okay. I think out of all of them, if I had to choose one, I think it would be Zach. I saw like the EuroLeague. I saw a bunch of the EuroLeague games, and I was honestly like really impressed by some of the things I saw from him. Like, I think the added strength of his is like just gonna be huge for his like rim finishing and his defense. Like, one of his possessions that there was him like actually stopping Luka Doncic. That would literally never happen last season. The improved rebounding, that was just that's gonna be huge for this team, especially since last season he was just not good at all as a rebounder for his position. Um, and especially that added strength as well. It'll help him like finish a bunch of his shots at the rim. Like, he wasn't really that great as finishing out the rim, but this season, if he's able to finish a bunch of those missed bunnies that he was able to finish last season, that'll just be huge for this team. And especially just becoming a more consistent shooter. I think I see that potential. With Jalen, like what Zeb said, that injury, I think it's just gonna limit him for this season because it's just gonna take a minute for him to like, recover and come back. And I honestly don't know like how many minutes we're gonna see him play until then right now, because it may just be like limited minutes right now. Like, I assume he's gonna start, but we may see like Mo Gay come in for like a few minutes and then come back out, and then Jalen may finish games and stuff. But until then, it's just gonna be like a few games where it's just gonna be like that until Jalen like really is back to being Jalen, right? So it may just be a few until like next season. With Dyson, I'm really interested to see what Dyson is, because those stats you mentioned, Leon, is just really interesting. Like, those drives he does, like, the main thing that worries me, I don't know why, it's those free throws. Like, that 59%, like, that was career low. It's just, that means you may not have the best touch, and he needs to develop like some kind of like mid-range game or something in order to like really, be like a better offensive player. And I think at some point, maybe hopefully like he improves like somehow. And I want to like just take more threes or something, or just even develop some kind of like in between game or something like that to be able to, really improve. But I need to just hopefully like see something like maybe just more drives or something, because I like you mentioned, Leon, like he's a really good cutter. Like, the drives are like really good. Like, I think it's just gonna be Zach for me, honestly. But for the actually one more question about Dyson, real quick. There was actually a recent quote from Mark Stein about a contract extension where he could possibly get $30 million a year. Do you guys think he deserves? Would you guys give him $30 million a year? Just a quick question.
I'm not going to. I'm trying to. We want to speed through this. I'm not going to say it too much.
Yeah.
Josh and Giddey have the same agent. Giddey got 25. Shaden Sharp is projected to get 20 mil a year. Not saying these guys are like they're all like in the same tier of player category, but you do have to factor in some contracts. Even with Jalen Suggs, he got his max extension he could get. Orlando gave everybody their max extension. There wasn't much negotiations on those tables. But even with Jalen Suggs' contract, it is descending. I think at the final like 2 years, he's making like 22 million. So you want to get Dyson, and you can leverage his Pelican years, and you can leverage like what he's done this year. Realistically, if Dyson does take that jump, you kind of want to pay him before he gets to that projected leap, just because they can leverage that against us. For the most part, I think you give you give Dyson the JC deal. I think 25 is fair. They're not going to pay him more than Jalen, because you got to prove that you're getting paid more than Jalen. You have to prove that we can trust you to be more than Jalen. And I know you got and I know you've gotten most improved player, defensive player of the year candidate, blah blah blah, but that just happened. Not saying you can't continue on that. Not saying that you can't get way better than where you're at right now. But in those 2 years you were with New Orleans, granted it was a bad situation for you. New Orleans was using you, it wasn't really much. Is there? I feel like 25 is fair, seeing where the current pipeline is. You're getting more so-called better defenders like Herb. Herb is getting like 12 and a couple others. So 25 is a sweet spot. 25 will only be right now. I did this earlier because we were talking about it in the group chat. If you give him 25, new contract will start next season. That'll only be like 12% of the cap. After that, it goes down to like 11.3, and after that, it goes into 10. So that's still a good cap point. But I'm not the cap strategist. Our GM is the cap strategist, and they hired another cap strategist. So right now, I believe he should get 25. Whoever wants to talk next, go next.
Go ahead, Leon.
Yeah, I think 25 is the number you want to get him at, especially right now. And there's been some talk about how the middle of the NBA is getting squeezed, and Dyson is not in the middle. So, next season he might be looking at one of these offers where we'll pay you what you are on the open market. He might just get set out to restrict it, and we'll pay whatever anybody offers him because it'll. I mean, if somebody offers him 30, we'll pay him 30. But
Yeah.
he's gotta earn that. If he comes out and shoots the cover off the ball, he'll probably get that 30. But they have guys that'll bite into his minutes. So it'll be interesting. That's why I think the plan is to try him to play a little bit of three, and use all that spacing to his advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I just don't know if you can pay him 30.
Before Zeb goes, I didn't mean to cut anybody off. You also can use the leverage of that you having to kill on the roster now. Dyson is no longer our only point of attack defender. So you just got to use it to your leverage. I don't want to underpay him, and I don't want to overpay him because we've been in an overpay situation too many times.
Here's the thing: before Zeb goes, I will say, if he gets like top 3 defensive player of the year again, someone's probably got, and he goes to restricted free agency.
You can't let him get that far, I believe. You can't let him get that far.
I'm just saying, like, if he does, someone's gonna offer him $30 million. Someone's gonna give him that money. So
that's what I'm saying. But like you.
I don't know. Like,
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, if he has the same season.
That's the thing. If he has like the same offensive season, kind of, right?
Nah, I'm 25.
Then he's gonna get lowballed. But
all right, one more time before Zeb goes. My fault.
Yeah, go ahead.
You off.
Go ahead, Zeb.
Actually, go ahead,
Sorry.
Zeb. I'll do it after you go. I don't want to keep.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think it's very hard because contracts are so weird. It's like you see some teams give like their value that they have now. You see some teams project. I think it's more fair to kind of give them what they are now, especially because like I do not want to get to the point where Dyson is like hitting restricted because like I just feel like that's just gonna not only jack up the price but also just like I don't know. I just don't want to like go through like that whole shit. I hate that so much. I hate contract stalls so much. That's like my least favorite part of NBA like off season in general. It's like it's just because it's just drags so much. It kind of limits what the team is gonna do, and it just kind of ruins the whole team vibes and flow. It's like
with Kuminga.
Yeah, it's like you don't want a situation where it's dragging to the point where it's like, what moves do we make? And we're just sitting there just kind of twiddling with our thumbs. And it's like you don't want to get to that point. It's like I feel like you should try to get something now. As far as the price range, it's I could not tell you. I really don't know. I feel like probably meet that middle ground, probably 27, just to kind of pay him for what he is now and then pay him for, what you think he's going to be. I think even if he doesn't have like a huge offensive jump. I think if he can still provide this defensive presence, I think that's just good enough to really get like an in-between range, because it's just like you don't really have defenders in the league like that, especially at the guard position. So it's like, so you just want to lock that up. I feel like you shouldn't really like drag it, in my opinion. I think it should be wrapped up as soon as the extension deadline approaches. Yeah.
For me, go
my
ahead,
fault, man.
Marco.
But this is
You're
my
good.
last thing, and I'll let y'all get it.
Okay.
The I think the deadline is on the 20th. Also, you could just front load it. You could do a Suggs, front load it, give him 30, let it go down to like 20, let it go down eventually to 25. It just depends on, because you have 2 other contracts you have to worry about, because you still have Trey and KP who are also extension eligible. So you gotta if we got Trey out the way, this would be way easier to discuss this. But Trey's also a different story too. So, but go ahead.
I would say I think I would probably just max it out at 25 million a year, unless if he doesn't get extended like after October 20th. I'm really just gonna be and just wait and see what he does on offense this season, because generally the main thing that gets paid is gonna be offense. If he's basically the same, basically like last season, then I don't want to say just let rookie free agency decide it and just like, let's see what the market says, but it may just be what it just may be like what is gonna determine it. Because I mean, we do have his like bird rights basically, right? Because technically, yeah. So I mean, part of me feels like at that point, I would just say max I would go is like 25 million a year, since he was like top 3 in defense player of the year and he showed like a lot of growth. So that's what I would say. Were you about to say something, Leon?
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna tell y'all how much Dyson need to be making. Dyson needs to be making. Hold on, let me go to next year. Dyson needs to be making $28,456,566. That needs to be Dyson's first year number.
Whose contract did you get that from?
I gave him his contract. That's
okay,
gonna be
never
his
mind.
Contract. That's gonna be his contract.
Dang. Oh, dang.
No, I was, bro, because when Marco brought it up, I totally forgot about Kristaps. When he brought up Kristaps, I was just kind of like, oh, God.
Oh yeah, because he only has like 1 year left.
That's a whole.
So,
oh my God.
Can I float something to you guys?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, hey man, maybe you trade, Jalen and Dyson for a disgruntled star in the Eastern Conference.
Oh.
And maybe with 3 legitimate All-Stars and including that guy, Tony might throw the bag. Thoughts? Anybody?
That could be an idea, man. That.
Yeah.
And that's why Dyson needs to make $28,456,500.
28,000 will be that would be crazy. That would be a bargain. Yeah.
That would be sick. I wouldn't even support that, honestly.
That would be, man. I wonder what disgruntled star we would be talking about, but man, you gotta give me a few days to think about that. I don't know. I know me saying I don't know is gonna be very controversial to a lot of people because they know exactly what I'm talking about. But man, it's gonna be interesting. But let's what I was about to say. Let's talk about the last topic. What is everyone's preseason expectations? I'll start with you, Zeb.
I think for me, it's like I just kind of want to see. I'm just excited to really see Jalen Johnson play. I haven't seen Jalen Johnson play in so long, so it's like
Yeah.
I want to see him in game action, NBA action, not just practice flow. I'm really intrigued by. Uh, I want to see how Luke Kennard runs a little bit of offense. Like we're probably not going to see the full playbook. We're going to see a lot more of the exhibit contract guys. That we're going to see a lot more like Caleb Hughes and stuff like that. But I guess I'm just excited to see Asa and like the NBA flow and stuff like that. I'm not sure how the rotation is going to be. It's probably going to be really weird. It's probably just going to be like starters like first half and then second half they kind of teeter off. So I guess I would say the most excited player I'm looking to see, that's a weird sentence, is probably Mo Gay. Trying to see like what he can do with his opportunities at the rim and stuff like that. And, he's willing to shoot threes. So it's like, okay, let's see if he can knock down threes at a good rate and, have people finding him and stuff like that. Yeah, I would say Mo Gay is probably the most excited player I want to see. Yeah, dang, that just made me think. Like, I feel like we didn't talk about Caleb Houston that much. I think he's just, I don't know. Like, I think he's just a specialist. He's just
he's really good at shooting threes, but he plays like a 6'4" guard.
Yeah, he's weird. He's just a specialist, and I don't think specialists are really sustainable for playoff runs because
he will get a dunk with Trae Young, though. I will say that.
Maybe.
He's gonna get a dunk.
Right,
maybe it's a fact. I'm saying it right now. It's recorded. So
no, that's fine. I was just saying, like, at the end of the day, as a deep bench piece, he can shoot.
Yeah,
that's valid. Yeah, but I would just say I'm most excited for Muhammad Gay. That's my thoughts.
What do you say, Leon?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm ready to see in an effort to not say Moji, because when you said that, I was thinking like, dang, like on the nights where Moji's on, that Moji KP lineup is some nasty work if you really think about it. But I'm looking forward to seeing this three depths, whatever we got at it. Ellie Njai and Jacob Toppin. I know Jacob had that injury where he didn't play the rest of summer league. I didn't really hear too much about it afterwards. I just hope he's ready to play basketball because I think he, like, especially with the way we play, he can be a guy who could really help us be a decent finisher in transition, get into our offense, knows what he's doing, professional. And Ellie Njai, like, he looks like a real NBA defender at the very least, and he knows how to play basketball because overseas they don't play you if you don't know how to play basketball. So the shot form looks pretty good. He's athletic, feisty as a defender. He's long, so I'm looking forward to seeing those guys. I think the most is probably a lot, but it'll be interesting to see what we got behind Zach, because I think what I expect from Zach is kind of cake to me. He'll shoot the ball. I feel like I won't see what I really need to see in the preseason from him if I'm looking for anything, but I'm looking forward to seeing that three depth. What about you, Marco?
I don't have a specific player I'm ready to see. I just want to see the team as a whole. I'm excited to have a good team for once. I don't have to go into the offseason.
Chris isn't here. Chris isn't here, but I'm not gonna allow that. I'm not gonna allow that. Like that's crazy. Like you gotta come up with like you ain't said nobody name yet. Like you
all right,
ain't
man. I'll go on brand because y'all know I am PB&J. So I am excited to see Jalen because Jalen will have a bigger role. We're going to need him more than he expects it this year. Coming fresh off the ankle injuries and fresh off a torn labrum, trying to see where he's at, like physically. They like in the camp, they said he's feeling fine. They ramped him up. Even when he was training with Chris Johnson said he's ramped him up and he's actually been more in contact, physical things. So just seeing where Jalen is at, what Jalen has worked on in his offseason is getting back. You work with the King again this offseason. So what did you pick up from LeBron? What did you pick up from other players? You were seeing working out with Rondo as well. That would be good for his like playmaking side. What did you learn from Rondo and things like that? So just seeing where Jalen is mentally, can he really step up to be that second option? But like I was saying in the beginning, I'm still excited to see the whole team because I don't think we've had a roster like this since 21, and it's been about 4 years now. So really it'd be 5 after the season's done. So excited to see, another stretch big, size around Trey, get there, especially with how the East is shaped up. So just excited to see how this team is going. Don't need double stress on Sundays and throughout the week. I already got one team that's doing that. So would like to, have some stress reliever somewhere. So can go back to the main after chilling with the side. So excited to see how all that goes,
For me, I'm really excited to see Kristaps Porzingis and Yuka Okongwu lineups. I think that's going to be honestly one of the most interesting combinations. Honestly, I feel. Did we even mention Okongwu in this episode at all? Like, I don't think we did. I think Onyeka is going to be really good this year. Honestly,
like I don't think I'll talk about him singularly, but I expect him to play good basketball.
Yeah.
Like if he shoots it well, I don't expect it to be like, Al Horford like. But if it is, one of the best contracts in the NBA.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
If he does that, I mean, if we're talking about like 38% on 5, that's
yeah. It's like, oh my god.
Best
Thank you, Landry. Oh my god.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about double.
Yeah,
I mean, he has an opportunity to be on the floor with players that will cover up for his weaknesses and allow him to really show his strengths as a defender.
Yeah, and
where he can gamble in the lane more. And like I said, like there were people judging Onyeka because what he had weak side was George Niang, Dominic Barlow, and 19-year-old. Yeah, he was still 19 most of the year. So he turned 20. Zach turned 20 right before the season ended. So, amen.
And I think this is the first time in like a few years that he's got he had a full off season without any injuries too. So I mean, I think he's gonna have a really good season. I think.
I really hope he does.
Yeah.
I really hope he does. He could win 6 Man of the Year.
Yeah.
And here's people don't know. Here's the trick to winning 6 Man of the Year.
I'm glad you said that.
Here's the trick to winning. Here's the trick though. You gotta start some games like you do. You gotta be good. Start like 20 or 30 games, and he'll start 20 or 30 games, and still
Porzingis,
and that that bumps up your averages, right? And then he's gotta have some big games off the bench where he finishes games, and he will. So, yeah, I think that's a.
Listen, I mean, Onyeka could still start. We don't know the starting lineup yet. You never know.
Yeah, man.
That's your 6 man, and you're gonna like it.
I mean, I'm happy.
I mean,
with that.
if he does, I won't be mad. If he does, I won't be mad.
That just is going to be his role.
I think,
If he starts, I won't be mad. I think there's gonna be a lot of Hawks fans that are gonna be mad, but I wouldn't.
Well, we know you wouldn't be mad, man. You're a company man. The company.
Okay. Really? Okay.
We can make that joke again.
Nah. I'm not. No. Okay.
I thought about it. I tried to contextualize it in a way that I liked, but it didn't go. So
see,
yeah, Chris Dobbs.
I I feel like it'll just be crazy having Chris Subs come off the bench. I feel like that would just be crazy.
Do you know what people would do to Quinn Snyder the first game we had? Like, do y'all
Like you
understand?
can't do that. You can't do what you did with
Y'all like,
Sadiq
I
and
don't think
Jalen.
y'all understand.
Listen, I would not be surprised if Onyeka start if
I would.
Porzingis came off the bench. It would be probably because of injury concerns. I think
You don't let the $30 million guy in contract here.
Personally, I think
this.
Porzingis is going to start, but I will not be surprised if Onyeka start.
Yeah, I feel like
Go ahead.
No, I was thinking about it. I was like, man, because Chris Epps, he kind of seems like, I feel like he doesn't know too much about the players over here, and I feel like he's gonna kind of be like who the fuck is Onyeka Okongwu?
Oh my God! Don't do. He said he was excited to be here. Why would you? Oh my God, Zeb.
Yeah, but he probably. But when they asked him, they were like, "Yeah, I'm excited to play." Like he didn't say over trade.
Yeah, no, but imagine he's gonna walk up like Onyeka. He's
like, who is this Onyeka fella, man?
Because he's thinking about getting his money. He's just gonna be like,
yeah, look, man, 6 man Onyeka isn't bad for him.
What is this? This is year 2 of Onyeka's 4-year deal, right? Or is it
year 2? Year 2 or 3?
Year 2, I think.
Year 2 is his 4-year deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Onyeka, regardless of whether he starts or not, like, will do what he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that he knows, like we know, Kristaps not going to play 82 basketball games. And he also knows that he's still in line for very close to starters level minutes, even if he comes off the bench. And that's what I expect. And I think you want, and this is the bad thing about basketball is you want to have 8, 9, 10 starters, but a lot of people don't want to be the 7th, 8th, and 9th and 10th starter. So I think, yeah, it's a tough situation. Like, I'm sure, but
we'll see tomorrow.
We're trying to win basketball games, man, and
you
know, like everybody else knows, you play with the best passer in the NBA.
Yeah.
So the grass might not be greener.
Yeah.
I feel like we have 7 starters.
Yeah, we do.
Nikhil.
Mm-hmm. No, like so we'll see tomorrow.
Yeah,
hopefully we get at least one really walkthrough game, and I expect Dilly Dally for the rest.
We'll know the final starting lineup at the last preseason game, which is a week away. I think.
That's gonna be like Mo Gay at the 5.
I don't know the starting lineup on whatever day the Hawks play the Raptors, man. I don't know.
Okay, yeah,
that's true. I'm not playing the last freezing game. No, I'm not playing with that. Don't play with me. We'll know who starts on opening night.
It's gonna be Luke Kennard, Caleb Houston.
All right, everybody. That was a nice episode, wasn't it?
All right. With that, does anyone have any final thoughts before we end this episode?
Excited for the season. Season's 18 days away. Actually, it might be 17. It's 18. It's 17 days away. So that's really 2 weeks and some change. Excited to see our guys in preseason too. We'll get to see. I kind of am rooting for Obi Toppin as well. I probably should have said that. Not Obi Toppin, the other one.
Jacob.
Yeah, my fault. Trying to walk fast. I'm actually excited for him too. If you see me in the group chat, I kind of root for him. He could easily get that backup 3. I like what I saw from him in summer league. Just got to see how he plays out, whatever, or just some rotational minutes. But excited to be back. Excited to have a new podcast season with you guys. Anniversaries next week, so we've officially been doing this for a year.
Almost did 50 episodes already.
Yeah, Chris ain't here, but shout out Chris and shout out Chris too. But that's all I got. No.
All right, what's your thoughts, Leon?
Man, it's a great time to be an Atlanta Hawks fan. It's a great time to be covering the team. I want to thank Zeb for coming on and chatting with us. Great stuff, especially about trades efficiency. I think that was a really good conversation we had. Because he is still one of the most disrespected stars in the NBA, but this year, man, with a real big and some depth and a backup that knows what he's doing. It's gonna be a good year. I'm looking forward to more episodes. Come on anytime, Zeb. And Ant, what about you, bro? What are your thoughts, or Zeb? What are your thoughts on the season?
You can go, Zeb.
Yeah, I'm really excited. The thing about Trey, I feel like what's going to happen is he's going to play. I think obviously he's going to be more efficient than he was last year, but I think he's going to play like similar to like the high level that he's always played at. And we're going to be winning, and people are going to be like, "Oh my God, Trey Young is actually good," but we're going to be like, "We're gonna be like, no shit," and it's just going to be so stupid because I feel like there's a lot of the talk of like star on like a obviously terrible team. They're like, "Oh, they suck, empty stats." They get a good team. They're like, "Wait, Devin Booker's good? Wait, you mean to tell me he's good?" And it's like, duh. The same thing with Cade Cunningham. They're like, he's good, and it's like, no, the team just got better. He's always been good.
Well, Trey couldn't win with DeJounte Murray, Zeb, so obviously
bro. It didn't. Oh my. I'm gonna go on a whole tangent. I was just like the whole
my
plan. The knee ain't like. Oh my. Anyways, I'm just excited. Finally, because like the winning will go up with his PR. Because it's stupid that it has to take that, but that's just what the league is about. We want wins anyway, so it's like it works for us. So I'm just excited. I think this team is going to be great. Yeah, I'm really excited for the season start. This preseason game, I'm about to treat this like the finals. I'm about to be looking at every single possession. Like,
this man can throw something on the grill, man.
Oh my God! All right, chill out. All right, let's hold on. Let's hold off on it.
I'm gonna be gimmicking, bro. I'm gonna be like, bro, get back on your man, bro. No, I'm feeling it, but I'm excited though. It should be fun.
All right. I cannot wait for this team to be a top 4 seed, and I could talk crap about it with everyone. I know. I really just cannot wait to see these guys play. I think it's gonna be really good. Please, 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 please do not disappoint me, Hawks. I'm gonna be really sad if that happens. Like God, I need some good stuff. Please, please. I know this team will be good, but please, 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 I'm begging you. Please. I'm hoping. Please. But with that, that's episode 48 of Hard Knock Hawks. Once again, thank you so much, Zeb. You can follow him on Twitter at Zebster, ZEBSTER114 on Twitter. He also has a you also do short films. He's a 3-time award-winning filmmaker. 3-time award-winning filmmaker. How many people do you know that has won 3 awards for films? That's crazy. Crazy, right? But thank you so much for coming here. I'm going to link that document you made for the Hawks season preview in the description. But once again, thank you so much, and we hope everyone here has a good day. See you later, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.